What's up, YouTube? Welcome to SouthSide Adventures. We are back for another episode of SouthSide Self-Instructed, the series where I teach myself some outdoor activity and document the entire learning process. We are back on the mountain bike again, picking up at Carter Road. Let's get on the trails. I'm headed to Sprinkler Hill, where things didn't go as expected. My first fall came on an A-frame in a tree, and I didn't escape unhurt either. I injured some of the muscles and ligaments in my right wrist, and had to take a week off the bike, and I didn't even realize that until I was driving home. But more on that later. I set off again, not knowing that I was approaching another fall. The trail led to Dolores Drop Zone, where I rode down the drop and promptly got thrown off my bike, eating dirt again. I got a bit luckier this time, as I only scraped my knee and bruised a shoulder, and thankfully didn't further injure myself. This is a great example of another lesson that I learned the hard way. I'm not really sure what happened, but I think that I rolled up to both of the features without thinking. I've rode them before without a problem, and I assumed I would be fine. As I was standing off the trail with an injured wrist, I realized that I have to treat everything, even the features that I had already ridden, like it's my first time. But that lesson didn't sink in until I was done riding and sitting in an urgent care waiting room. These falls weren't the best confidence builders, and they were a bit of a shock, but I tried not to get hung up on it. Mother didn't raise a quitter, but she arguably raised an idiot, as I kept riding with an injured wrist, and despite the pain, things started to turn around. I got to see a baby gopher tortoise and help him out, and the rest of the trail went off without a problem.
Alright, let's get you off the middle of the track. There you go, little guy. Get on out of here, bud.
Right after the string of features, I finally attempted my first blue square, tackling a new grade of difficulty. I hit the horseshoe trail, and this is the first trail that really seemed like mountain biking. It was much more elevated, much narrower, and way more exposed. At times, I was riding over drops into a gator-filled swamp, or onto the hard ground and roots of the woods. Turns out, this is a Carter Road staple, and a lot of their trails are very similar to this, so I guess it's time to put the fundamentals I've learned to the test. This was certainly an unwelcome change that made me wish for the wide open fields of previous trails, and this was the first time I was actually nervous while riding. Despite my nerves and my wrist, I still attacked horseshoe. I found that carrying speed into trails is sort of helpful. It's a bit odd, but there are a few reasons for going fast. Speed helps with rolling smoothly over obstacles like roots. Trails are designed with speed in mind, and more importantly, it's more fun. Learning this lesson shocked me, but I think mashing the pedals definitely helped me get through some of the rougher sections of Horseshoe. Somehow, I was able to pedal my way through Horseshoe. After getting in my head and doubting my abilities every time I ride, I finally worked up the nerve and gave it a burn. I would always deceive myself into thinking I couldn't ride this trail, and I finally realized that sometimes the thing holding me back isn't skill, but my mental game. I'm waiting for the day when I can finally hit a trail or a feature without getting in my head, but that day is far away. However, me making it through Horseshoe goes to show that I really can be my own worst enemy, and that once I stop overthinking and start biking, I can do the things I would have never thought possible. After successfully biking Horseshoe, I was faced with a choice. I could keep riding on an injured wrist, or quit while I'm ahead. As much as I wanted to keep riding, I couldn't ignore the pains in my wrist anymore. Instead of tackling another trail, I decided to call it quits and seek out medical attention. So this is the wrist immobilizer I got from urgent care. I can't do anything with my right hand when I wear it. I hate it. But it could be worse. All I have to do is wear this thing for a week, ice my wrist, and take some painkillers as necessary. I can take it off if I want to, and it doesn't itch like a cast. But it still sucks to wear, and I can't wait until I have my hand back.
And that wraps up the biking. Despite the falls, I was still able to get outside and ride my bike, so it wasn't all bad. And riding a trail a grade harder is certainly worth something. While this riding session had more downs than usual, taking the first fall and getting it out of the way is a big step, and I have nothing but improvement in front of me. As usual, shout out to Ridge Riders Mountain Bike Association. The trails are always well maintained and always a fun ride, and I really cannot recommend this place enough. Check the description for more info. If you like the video or if you learned something, leave a like. And if you have some mountain biking advice for a beginner, or if you think you'd have an adventure that I'd like, sound off in the comments or hit me up on my social media. Links in the description. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you all on the next adventure.